Today's lesson is Beyond Pizza, exploring Italy's less famous food favorites. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
I am Roger, and we're going to make you really hungry today because we're going to continue talking about some regional specialties in Italy. And we already began to talk about such specialties in our last program. Remember, we talked about tagliatelle with truffles. That sounds rather tasty. We also talked about arancini, which sounds especially tasty. They are deep-fried rice balls that are stuffed with peas, meat sauce, and cheese. Oh my goodness, my mouth is watering right now. Is there anybody out there from Italy who can prepare this stuff for me? Please do that right now. But, we got some other things to talk about in today's lesson, don't we?
Absolutely we do. We're going to be visiting some of the areas that tourists maybe don't quite visit very often in Italy. These are more on the eastern coast of Italy, on the Adriatic Sea, the kind of coast that faces towards Serbia and Bosnia, Croatia, countries like that. So we're going to be going to Puglia and Abruzzo, and I believe Puglia is basically the heel of the boot of Italy. So if you ever want to catch a ferry boat, maybe from Italy to Greece, this is a region you might go down to visit. And just north of that is Abruzzo, one of the more rural areas of Italy, but definitely very nice. And as we said, you will avoid a lot of the tourists if you do visit. And as an extra little bonus temptation or a reward, if you do get over there, they have some great food. So let's get into some of the great food of these regions of Italy, starting off with Abruzzo's mutton stew.
Mutton stew. This slow-cooked dish has been enjoyed by Abruzzo's shepherding communities for centuries. Traditionally made using meat from sick or injured sheep, it also typically included whatever vegetables the shepherds could get their hands on. Abruzzo's cuisine benefits from both coastal and mountain areas, but sheep meat and cheeses are the true stars of the region's dishes.
大家好，第一部分介绍动词 injure， 它的意思是伤害或是使受伤。在课文中 injured 为过去分词做形容词用，表示受伤的。例如 The injured player was taken off the field for medical treatment. 那名受伤的球员被带下场接受治疗。或者 The injured dog was found by a kind passerby who took it to a vet. 那只受伤的狗被一位好心的路人发现，并带到了兽医那里。另外补充这个字的名词 injury, I-N-J-U-R-Y, injury。有伤害或是损伤的意思。举个例子 I wear this helmet to avoid head injury in case of an accident. 我戴这顶安全帽是为了避免事故时头部受伤。另一个例子 Luckily for the driver of the car, his injuries were minor. 幸运的是，对这辆车的司机来说，他的伤势很轻。
Okay, everybody. First of all, we're going to talk about something called mutton stew. Okay, remember, mutton is the meat from a sheep. And, of course, it's very popular here in Taiwan to have mutton stew as well. Stew, of course, is a soup that is very thick, and it's usually cooked over a low fire for a long period of time. So this slow-cooked dish has been enjoyed by Abruzzo's shepherding communities for centuries. Okay, so this sentence basically tells us what this stew is. It's a slow-cooked dish. As I said, it's cooked over a low fire for a long period of time to get the ingredients to produce the desired flavors. And, of course, we've got these shepherding communities. Okay, we've got a shepherd. That's a person who basically takes care of a flock or a group of sheep. Okay, and, of course, they basically work outside. They're farmers, basically, except they work with sheep. And this particular dish has been enjoyed by these people for hundreds of years.
Very, very interesting. Traditionally made, using the meat from sick or injured sheep. The shepherds would be out there in the fields, living up on the mountainsides, following the sheep around as they eat their grass throughout the summer season. Many shepherds often would live up there in in the fields because, of course, they have to protect the sheep from injury and accident, but also from attack by wolves. And so I guess one way that they would handle a situation where they had a sick animal, an injured animal, is they would just butcher that animal, and that would provide them with their food for a couple of days, allowing them to stay up in the mountains with the sheep and not return to town. So that's a very efficient way of doing it, and we can understand why they've been doing this for centuries, for hundreds of years, cooking food up there in this way. It says it also typically included whatever vegetables the shepherds could get their hands on. So as they're butchering this old sheep or something, they're maybe picking some wild carrots or wild vegetables or something. Anything they can get their hands on, anything that they can acquire. If you're talking about getting your hands on something, you're acquiring something, you're getting something. And in some ways, it might be sort of an opportunistic thing where you don't really have an idea of what you're going to get. You don't have a lot of options. I really want to go to this concert. I'll buy any ticket I can get my hands on, even if it's really far away with a bad view. I don't have a seat or something like that. I will get it. I will grab it. I will take that opportunity and I will try to acquire that thing. It says Abruzzo's cuisine benefits from both coastal and mountain areas. Yeah, if you find Abruzzo on a map, you'll see that it is on that eastern coast of Italy, and it's on the coast, so it's right there on the Adriatic Sea, but it also has the central Italian mountain range there, so it benefits from both of those things, but sheep meat and cheeses are the true stars of the region's dishes. So a little bit more than in some areas. I guess they focus more on mutton, on sheep, and also cheese, maybe made from sheep and goat's milk, as opposed to dairy milk, which you probably would find a bit more in the northern parts of the country. All right, let's move on to another dish. Where are we going and what are we having?
Potato and mussel casserole. While it's most commonly made with potatoes, mussels, rice, and onions, there are many variations of this versatile Pulian dish. Some chefs like to include tomatoes, garlic, and cheese among other ingredients, while others even opt to wrap the whole dish in pastry. In any case, the Puglia region is blessed with both seafood-filled ocean waters and fertile soil. Thus, no matter how you slice it, this dish's mix of seafood and humble vegetables makes it a perfect example of Pulian cuisine.
第二部分看到 variation 这个单字，它是名词，表示变体、变化形式或是变化、变动。例如 Several variations of that song have been produced for different movies. 那首歌已为不同的电影制作多种变化。或是 The restaurant offers a spicy variation of a traditional soup. 该餐厅为那道传统汤头提供了不同层次的辣度。这边补充这个单字的形容词用法 variable, V-A-R-I-A-B-L-E, variable, 指多变的或是反复无常的。例如Many drug studies produce variable results, which forces researchers to continue developing drugs. 许多药物的研究产生结果变异很大，迫使研究人员继续研发药品。或者 The weather in this region is highly variable and can change rapidly. 这个地区的天气反复无常，可能会迅速变化。后面看到形容词 versatile， 也可以念 versatile， 它的意思是有多种用途的、万用的或是多才多艺的意思。例如 This car is versatile and can be used on-road and off-road. 这台车用途多元，可以在路上使用，也可越野。也可以说 Sonia was a versatile actress, able to take on any role with ease. Sonia 是个多才多艺的演员，她能毫不费力地饰演任何角色。接着介绍动词 opt， 表示选择或是挑选。可以说You can opt for a nicer room at the hotel if you are willing to spend the extra money. 如果你愿意花额外的钱，你就可以选择饭店内更好的房型。又或者说 When given a choice, Louis opts for the window seat on flights. 如果能选择 Louis 搭飞机时会选靠窗的位置。最后看到形容词 fertile 或是 fertile， 它表示肥沃的、富饶的。举例来说The soil here is fertile and perfect for growing crops. 这里的土壤肥沃，很适合种植作物。最后一个例子 The professor's job was to plant seeds of knowledge in the fertile minds of his students. 教授的工作是在学生富饶的头脑中播下知识的种子。
Okay, now we're going to talk about something called potato and mussel casserole. Okay, the word casserole, of course, reminds me when I was a kid growing up, my mother used to make a dish every couple of weeks called tater tot casserole.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, you probably had it yourself. You take little pieces of potatoes that are in the shape of little cylinders, I guess, and then you put it into a pan, kind of like a glass pan, I guess, that's kind of long.
Like a baking dish.
It's a baking dish, yes, and you put it in the oven and cook it for a while, and you have other ingredients in there as well, and it can be very tasty. And I wonder if this is the same thing here, but that's what a casserole is, something that's baked in the oven, and this one includes potatoes and mussels. And I don't think we're talking about the mussels in our bodies, are we?
No. Here we're talking about the shellfish mussels, kind of like clams or scallops or things like that. I think mussels are pretty popular here in Taiwan, where people eat many types of these shelled seafoods. So it's also a casserole is also a great way to get rid of older things that you might have in the fridge. You kind of throw in anything that's there in the kitchen into your casserole. You can cook it up, and it is also certainly a peasant style of cooking that can definitely be upgraded these days with just adding better ingredients. But yeah, a pretty classic dish from a long time ago. It says there are many variations of this versatile Puglian dish. So a variation is basically another style, another type of it, a slight change to it. If you go to a restaurant, or actually a pizza is a very good example, you can put almost anything on your pizza. You can have a seafood pizza, you can have the meat lovers pizza, you can have the vegetarian pizza. You can mix all of these ingredients whatever way you want. There are many variations, many varieties, many different ways of making this dish. So that's why we would describe it as being very versatile, or versatile, as some people would pronounce it. Something versatile is useful. It can switch to fit and adapt easily to fit different situations. When you travel, you might want to have some clothes with you that are a bit more versatile, right? I can wear this to go out and walk around museums, or it's also nice enough to wear to a restaurant for dinner in the evening. It's very useful. It's very adaptable. It has a lot of different ways that it can be employed and put into good service. So this dish is very versatile, basically meaning you can put anything in it, no matter what time of year it is, no matter what you have available, you can throw it into this casserole, and it is very, very good. We get a few of the more common ingredients in the next part of our description here.
Yep, some chefs like to include tomatoes, garlic, and cheese among other ingredients, while others even opt to wrap the whole dish in pastry.
Wow.
Interesting. So, of course, we got different chefs who have different ideas as to how to cook this particular dish. A chef, of course, is a fancy cook, basically. When I think of a chef, I think of the people who wear those white aprons and those big hats.
Oh, the big mushroom hats.
Exactly. Those
Towers.
are chefs,
yeah.
People who cook really well, and they probably work in expensive hotels and places like that. And these particular chefs like to include tomatoes, garlic, and cheese among other ingredients in this particular dish. So again, you've got tomatoes, you've got garlic, you've got cheese, and then you've got other chefs that say, well, that's nice, that sounds good, but we're going to cook it a little differently. We're going to opt to wrap the whole dish in pastry. So if you opt to do something, that means you choose to do something, and they choose to wrap the dish in pastry, which is kind of like what you make bread out of. You make the dough first, so pastry is kind of sticky. Basically, that's what pastry means. It's kind of sticky, but it's made from flour, and then you just wrap this around those ingredients, and voila, you've got this particular dish, the potato and mussel casserole.
Yeah, something that's popular here in Taiwan is you get those bowls of soup that have this sort of bread across the top, the baked, light, flaky bread, flaky pastry. That's pastry. That's what we're thinking of. So that might be what they do here. You cook the dish in your baking dish, but over the top, you put that sort of thin bread layer, that pastry, and it puffs up and gets nice and crispy and golden in the oven, and then you mix it in with the casserole as you cut it out and serve it and enjoy it. But these are all different variations on this versatile dish that we talked about. And there are many, many more, and you can probably come up with your own in your own kitchen if you want. It says, in any case, sort of regardless of where it's from or how fancy or sort of basic and simple you make it, in any case, the Puglia region is blessed with both seafood-filled ocean waters and fertile or fertile soil. So that's a lovely thing about this part of Italy. They are very blessed in their sort of natural location and the geography of the region. They're near the water. They have these seafood-filled ocean waters right around the peninsula that forms the heel of the Italian shoe or boot. And they also have the fertile soil. There might be volcanoes down in that area, but basically the soil is very nutritious for plants. It's very healthful for plants. Things grow easily in an area that is fertile or fertile. As we said earlier with that word versatile, you can also say versatile with this word. You can say you have a choice of pronunciations there. Both would be correct. But basically, it just means it's a healthy area and things grow naturally there in very abundant and large amounts. A good place to be a farmer. And that's why they would say they are blessed with these things. It's sort of a lucky circumstance, a lucky fact of nature that this area happens to have really good seafood and really good land on which to grow really good vegetables and other things.
So it goes on to say, thus, or therefore, no matter how you slice it, this dish's mix of seafood and humble vegetables makes it a perfect example of Puglian cuisine. Okay, so no matter how you slice it, that's kind of a clever phrase. No matter how you slice it, that just means no matter how you like it, no matter how you prepare this particular food, it is still something that is really amazing, so you can have it any way you want. And we often use this phrase to talk about basically things in life, like no matter how you slice it, we're going to have fun this weekend. We have all sorts of things to pick from, but in this particular case, it is referring specifically to food, and yes, you can prepare it in many different ways.
Absolutely. That sounds like a great thing, and it also sounds like something that would be perfect for basically any sort of dinner party you might be making. You can put meat in it, you can put vegetables if you're having a bunch of vegetarians over. It really is very versatile. All right, so let's have a look at the final part of our article, and then we'll wrap things up for today.
As you can see, there's much more to Italian cooking than pizza and spaghetti. So next time you're hungry for Italian food, why not think outside the pizza box and try one of these delicious dishes?
Okay, it's time for us to discuss the final paragraph in today's lesson. It says, as you can see, there's much more to Italian cooking than pizza and spaghetti. So here we've got the phrase, there's much more to something than something else. So basically we're saying that it does look like something on the surface, but you have to realize that there is more to it than just what you see. There's more than meets the eye, basically. So there's much more to Italian cooking than pizza and spaghetti. I think most people know that. We know that pizza and spaghetti are from Italy, but we probably also suspect that there are lots of other things to eat in Italy. You just have to go to Italy to find those things or find some really great Italian restaurants all over the world. But yeah, there's more to Italian cooking than pizza and spaghetti. I suppose you could say the same thing about the USA. You know, there's more to American cooking than hot dogs and hamburgers. They have other things to eat there as well.
There's more to Chinese food than dumplings and fried rice or something like that. Absolutely. So next time you're hungry for Italian food, why not think outside the pizza box and try one of these delicious dishes. We end up with a little joke there. So yeah, basically though, we're encouraging you to try something, be a little adventurous, be a little bold, take a chance, try an arancini, try a mutton stew. You can always come back for pizza or spaghetti next time you visit an Italian restaurant. Why not take a chance on something a little unusual? You'll probably find it to be very delicious. So why not think outside the box? To think outside the box is to go beyond the normal, the expected, the usual, the common. Try to come up with something new, novel, creative, original. Be a little daring, a little brave, a little bold. So if you're thinking outside the box, you're trying to be very original and not follow the normal path. But of course here, we're thinking outside the pizza box. That's our little joke because, of course, when you order a pizza, it always arrives in that big box with the folded top. That's a pizza box. So think outside the pizza box, get away from the pizza and the spaghetti, and try one of these delicious dishes. I'm sure you won't regret it. Or hey, you can hedge your bets, as we would say in English. You can order a pizza and then order something a little weird so that even if you don't like the mutton stew, you can still enjoy your pizza.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分介绍了炖马铃薯蛋菜，文中用到两个单字 variation 和 versatile 或是念作 versatile。 那我们分别来介绍它们的字根。首先来看 var 或者是拼作 vari 这一类字根呢，它表示改变、变化或者是使多样化。那么在 variation 这个字当中，它的字根 vari 表示变化， ation 是名词字尾，合在一起 variation 它是指变体、变化形式或者是有变化、变动的意思。那我们顺便补充几个有这一类字根的单字。第一个是 various， 它的字根 vari 表示变化， ous 是形容词字尾，那么合在一起 various 就可以表达各种不同的、各式各样的。好，那么第二个补充的是 invariable， 它的字首 in 表示否定，字根 vari 表示改变，那么 able 这个部分是易于怎么样怎么样的，所以组合在一起字面上看起来是不易于改变的， invariable 就可以用来形容不变的、始终如一的。好，另外补充一下，这一类的字根呢，还可以跟其他字组合使用，像 very colored 就是由 vari 再加上 colored 去表达说是多色的、五颜六色的。我们接着来看字根 vers 和 vert， 这一类字根有转动、翻转或变动的意思。那带有这一类字根的字大多含有改变原状的语义。在 versatile 或是念作 versatile 这个字当中，它的字根 vers 表示转，那么 at 是来自动词字尾 ate 表示使成为， ile 则是形容词字尾，表示具有某种能力。那我们从这个字根字尾的表面意思来看， versatile 或是 versatile 它具有转动、变动的能力，也就是具有多变的能力。从这个语义呢，再带出多才多艺的意思。所以呢 versatile 它可以用来形容有多种用途的、万用的，或者是形容多才多艺的。好，我们也顺便补充两个这一类字根的单字。第一个是 invert，它的字首 in 表示在什么之中，在什么之上，那么字根 vert 表示翻转。当我们把东西内外或者是上下翻转，那它就会前后倒置或上下颠倒。用这个方式也许可以联想到 invert 它有使倒置、使颠倒的意思。第二个补充的是 divert 或是念作 divert， 它的字首 di 表示分离或者是表示从什么什么，那么字根 vert 表示转。那我们可以用转移到旁边来联想到 divert 或者是 divert 这个字它有使转向、使改道或者是转移向、转移注意力这一类的意思。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Injure，Nina recently injured her leg while playing soccer. Variation. The play is a modern variation on the classic Shakespearean tragedy. Chef. The chef prepared a 3-course meal that showed his skills and attention to detail. Opt. As she got ready for the party, Marilyn opted for the blue dress instead of the red one. Pastry. That bakery is known for its fruit pastries, which are always a hit with customers.Fertile. The fertile soil in this region is perfect for growing a variety of crops.
Discussion starter starts now!
Our discussion question for today reads as follows. Which of the dishes described in the article would you be most interested in trying and why?
I would have to say I'd like to try that potato and mussel casserole. When I think of casseroles, I don't really think of Italian food at all. I would think more of French food, like a ratatouille or something like that is a fairly well-known casserole. So I've never really had an Italian casserole, and it would be very interesting to try it with lots of different ingredients. Try the traditional potatoes and mussels, I should say, or try something else with some more different types of seafood, maybe a vegetable one. I think that would offer a lot of opportunities opportunities for really delicious dishes.
Well, if given the opportunity, I'd like to try arancini. That sounded rather tasty. I tend to like deep-fried foods, although they might not be really that great for you. It kind of depends what kind of oil they're using to deep fry the balls in, but it does sound rather tasty. But at the end of the day, I could try some of these things, but I like your advice. Order one of these dishes along with a pizza or a bowl of spaghetti. At least that way, you'll know you're eating something that you like.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger.
See you next time.